Hello, anatomy colleagues. This is Dr. Alsop, and in this video, we're going to discuss some of the details of cartilaginous joints. We have two learning objectives here, very similar to those that we had for the fibrous joints. So hopefully we can get into the groove here regarding joint classifications. Like fibrous joints, cartilaginous joints join bones by a solid sheet of connective tissue. Now, where they differ is the type of connective tissue, and as the name of this category would suggest, these solid sheets are composed of cartilage, rather than the dense, irregular connective tissue you have in fibrous joints. There are only two categories of cartilaginous joints, which include the synchondrosis or synchondroses, which is awfully close in name to the syndesmosis we were discussing for the fibrous joints. But you can see the chondro root in here. And if you see something like that, you know we're talking about cartilage. So that will help in terms of differentiating between those two terms. The other type of cartilaginous joint is going to be a symphysis. So let's get into a bit more detail about each one of these, starting with those synchondroses. And here we're going to have the solid sheet of cartilage being hyaline cartilage. And there is no movement associated with a synchondrosis, so these are immovable. And the most common example of a synchondrosis is the epiphyseal plates that are located between the epiphysis and the diaphysis. And what will happen here, this is particularly important as we've discussed in detail, that this is really important in terms of growing bone in length. And the cartilage, remember, will grow as well. And then the bone will replace the cartilage on the diaphyseal side until eventually the bone will completely replace the cartilage. And at that point, it is not a synchondrosis anymore, but rather a synostosis, or that bony joint. So this example of a synchondrosis is a temporary joint. There are other synchondroses that are not temporary, so they persist throughout life without completely being replaced by bone. One of the best examples of those is between the manubrium of the sternum and the first rib. Moving on to symphyses, these are going to be cartilaginous joints where the ends of the bones are going to be covered with hyaline cartilage. Which is similar to what we will see with synovial joints, but a big difference here is the space that is in between the bone is going to be filled with a solid disc or sheet of fibrocartilage. These types of joints are going to allow slight movement, so they are not immovable. There is a little bit of movement available here. And what's cool about symphyses is that all examples of symphyses are located in the midline. There are two pretty common examples that are often cited for symphyses. The first is going to be a pubic symphysis. It has it right there in its name. This joint is located between the two pubic bones, the pubic portions of the hip bones. And so it's going to form that anterior portion of the whole pelvic girdle. The other example, which is very clinically relevant, are going to be the intervertebral discs, or you'll sometimes hear them referred to as intervertebral joints. Generally, disc is what you hear. I say these are clinically relevant because if you've ever heard of a slipped disc, that is going to be the herniation of this joint, which can impinge on the spinal cord, which is traveling through the vertebral canal, or more commonly, it can impinge, that herniation can impinge on the spinal nerves that are exiting through the vertebral column region. All right, excellent. We have reached the practice question, which is the epiphyseal plate is an example of which type of cartilaginous joint? And if you look at the answer choices that I have here for you, you will see that all these words are pretty similar. So we really have to get these definitions down. And so hopefully you thought about it and you're landing on B, or synchondrosis, being the correct answer. It has chondro right here in its name, so we know it has something to do with cartilage. Epiphyseal plates are typically located in the appendages, so not in the midline like the other cartilaginous joint, which is the symphysis. So that's not the correct answer. A syndesmosis is a type of fibrous joint, so we know that's not a cartilaginous joint. And when this epiphyseal plate is completely replaced by bone, it will become a synostosis. But while it is still an epiphyseal plate, it is a synchondrosis. It is not a bony joint. So D, synostosis, is not correct either. Excellent. Hopefully you're feeling good about this question, and I thank you for your time and attention.